Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. If you listened to last week's episode, we talked about 4 things that you can do to, protect yourself. Let's go to the real title. Let me just not guess. Okay, nope. 4 things you can do to take care of yourself as you transition back to working in person. And now, today, I'm going to talk to you about some things you can do if you are continuing to work from home, or maybe you've always worked from home. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, like I said last week, I'm recording this episode in late 2021. And just for context, because this episode may live on to 2025, and maybe they're like, why are we talking about this? Who knows? But since March of 2020 of last year, we've lived a little bit differently. Many of us have anyway, in different ways because of our response to a pandemic, COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever phrase you want to use. And part of that has been a number of people have moved to working from home who regularly did not before. And I do know a number of companies have said, you know what, this working from home thing is kind of working for us. Let's keep that party going. And so for a number of you, either you've always worked from home, but maybe this is something that's newer for you, new meaning over the last year and a half. But either way, whether you've been working at home for a little bit of time, a long time, or maybe you're thinking about moving to working from home, this episode, I'm talking to you. Last week, 38, we talked about those who are returning back to in-person work. Go back and listen to that. But listen to this one. I think everyone can listen to this one. You're going to hear a little bit of overlap. But when work is home and home is home, and home is also other things like school or whatever else, the lines can get blurred real easy, real fast, real quick. And you may find yourself somewhere in the middle of the day like, I don't know, what am I doing? Am I folding laundry? Am I working? Am I, teaching him how to count 3 plus 3? What am I doing? Am I working? Am I home but not working? What's going on? And so I want to give you 3 things that really may help you as you're working from home, essentially. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. 3 things. I expect this episode to be fairly short and to the point. So let's get to it. Let's talk about those 3 things that can really help those of you who are working from home. So the first is to create a space that's for work. I understand not everyone has a full room to dedicate as an office, but find a space, the corner that you're going to take over, the closet you're going to turn into an office. I've seen it all. Get yourself a table from Goodwill if you're on a budget. Well, we're all on a budget, right? One of my favorite places. I think every desk I have ever owned, I am pretty sure this is true, since from law school through real life, including the desk I'm literally sitting at right now. They're all from IKEA. They have fantastic options for desks, but get you one of any size, whatever will work for your space so that you can have a designated space for work. It can be challenging when you're working in the middle of the living room or when you're working at the dining room table with the TV right there, right by the door. You can kind of see what's going on in the neighborhood. Get you a space that's yours, that's for work. And again, you can make whatever you have in your home work. If you've had a guest room, guess what? You probably haven't been having a lot of guests. That guest room might be your new office or a corner of it or the closet of it. But the first thing that creates that physical boundary of this is the place where work takes place. And I'm not going to spread it all over because again, that's another way that the lines can get blurred. And if that doesn't work for you, if blurring the lines works for you and sitting on a couch with a computer watching whatever you watch on TV works for you, then boo, you keep it going. You do. If it's working for you, let it work. But I have a feeling that it's not working for you. So if it's not working for you to blur the lines and not have specific places, I want to invite you to create a space that's just for work. Then what happens is you can commit to working only in that space so that you're not sitting on the couch with the TV on and you're quote unquote working. Because even if you are working while you're sitting on the couch and watching TV, you're not 100% present in the thing you're doing. Some of your attention and energy is going to the television, even if it's just the amount that's allowing your ear to hear it. I want you to be able to fully work when you're working so that just like I want you to be fully present when you're out with your friends, you're fully present with yourself, when you're having your time with yourself, fully present when you're doing time with your spouse. I want you to be fully present in the thing that you're doing. And so that's why I think it's really important to set these physical boundaries. Work when you work so that when you're not working, you can also not work in non-work hours. Okay. So that's number one. Number two is to define the time. So this is now a time boundary. The first one was more of a physical boundary. Define the time. What time frames are you going to work? Now, work may have already made that choice for you. If work has already made that determination, then there you go. You've had that time set up. Work says that I am to be available from boom to boom, this time to this time. Now, if you have some flexibility in that, go on and decide though, but decide it so that you already know. It's not we'll see what kind of I feel like today. Define the time. What time, what days? So if you don't work 5 days a week, what time and what days is dedicated to work, right? Are there times of the day where you need to be available to respond in real time? Do you take an afternoon break to pick up your children from school and then you come back and resume work? Just define what that time is. This time boundary is going to help you so you know this is how my time is allotted, and you can communicate that to those with whom you work, whether it's clients, customers, coworkers. They know from this is Leah's work time. She's available from here to here. This is when I'm on for work, and this is everything that's not this time. That's when I'm at, right? And then you have to honor the time boundaries because, like I said, I think last week, a boundary isn't a boundary if it's not clearly communicated and enforced, right? It's not really a boundary if you enforce it, but nobody knew it. How did they know? They didn't know, right? I think a boundary has to be both communicated and enforced to be an actual boundary, a healthy boundary. So if you're going to do things like, so I'm going to tell you why this time boundary is really important. I know some of you are home. I know a lot of people say, I love it because then I can also, get laundry done, do a little bit of cleaning, take a nap, whatever it is. If you're going to do things like that, if you're going to enjoy the benefit of being home by taking breaks in the workday, understand that is a break from work time that has also been identified. It's not just we'll see, maybe I'll, so if you're going to do like the laundry or cooking, let there be an understanding that this is my break time. So I'm going to do a home break from 12 to 12:15, just a 15-minute break. Designate that as a work break. And say it's from this time to this time, or it's going to be a 15-minute work break, so that it's not while I'm working, I'm going to also start dinner and fold laundry. And again, the lines are getting blurry, and then you're not really working, but you're not kind of at home. And again, you get confused. And then you're like, well, maybe I need to work an extra 2 hours because I kind of did a little bit of work, but I was also kind of like doing the other thing. I was also planning a party, and I was also, folding, and I was, then you don't even know, was I working or was I home? I don't know. It helps with maintaining the boundary for each thing that we have going on, but it also helps you to have the benefit of being home. It's fantastic for you if it works for you to be able to knock out some things in the house while you're working. All I'm saying is make sure that when you're doing the non-work thing, it is because you've decided this is the time frame I'm taking a break from work, not I'm doing this laundry while I work. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense for you? Because for someone, I'm looking at my notes, but I'm also trying to just say what I want to say. I put in my notes, for someone, it won't work and they have to do things outside of work hours. Okay, I see what I'm saying. So some of you are like, oh, it works for me to take a break and start the dishwasher. And some people it does not help me. And when I start the dishwasher, then I feel like I need to go and do this. And then I think about this and I completely forget about work and I get out of the zone. If that's you, don't utilize being at home while you're working, which is why you have your own space. See, number one, you just focus on being in your work zone from this time to this time. And then after that, you can move to whatever else is non-work. Some people, it works for them to be able to say, okay, I need a 15-minute break before I get into my next thing for work. I'm going to go and fold a load of laundry. That's going to be my brain break. And then I'm going to get back to work. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today. Today, we have a message from Carrie. She left a review of the Best Today Guide, and she says that the Best Today Guide is an amazingly powerful tool. Planning ahead, prioritizing my mental and physical health, and choosing an intention for each day have been game and maybe even life changers for me. I can see it trickling into my family life and my work in the classroom. Do yourself a favor and commit to this practice. We cannot agree with you any more, Carrie. We know that this practice works, that we teach inside of the Best Today Guide. And that's why it's called a guide and not just a planner, because we want to guide you along in this life of being intentional. So go get your Best Today Guide right now at besttodayguide.com. That's besttodayguide.com. Inside, you can read reviews like Carrie's, listen to reviews of other customers, and see inside of the pages of the Best Today Guide. And as if the Best Today Guide wasn't enough, your order of the Best Today Guide gives you your first month free in our membership community. That's right. You get your first month free in our membership community and the Best Today Guide. So I'll wait while you just run your fingers over to besttodayguide.com. And thank you again, Carrie, for your honest and lovely review. Now, go to besttodayguide.com. It's just designating so that your brain literally understands this is the time box we're in, as opposed to thinking, I don't know what we're doing. We're kind of on the clock. We're kind of taking care of a home. We're kind of at Target, but we're on a Zoom call in our ear. That weighs on you. It really will. And it starts to blur the line, and it really will usually end in overworking, because now you have to somehow compensate for this time that you weren't sure what it was. So take that with what it is to the person that needed that time, but it's a time boundary. The first one is a physical boundary. The second is a time boundary to really help you if you found yourself overworking at home, not kind of sure what the chances are you've blurred the lines too much, and just creating those boundaries are going to help you to get your energy back, to understand this is what I'm doing here and this is what I'm doing here. Right? Does that make sense? Let me know. Okay. And number three is just like last week's number 4, I believe. And that is prioritizing your time away from work. You need these clear divides, because there is no divide between where you sleep and where you work, where you eat and where you work, where you spend time with your family and where you work, where you get dressed and where you work, where you shower and where you work, where you brush your teeth and where you work, where you have your friends over and where you work, right? There's no divide as far like it's all in your home. So one of the reasons that the divide of, well, let me say this. First thing, the reason I say prioritize time away from work is because it's right there where you are. And so it's really easy to slap back in the office and do something and then forget about the importance of those things that you need to do for yourself. Now I'm going to go back and read my notes. One of the reasons the divide is important is I know many of you are working more than you would if you were in the office. Yes. Because work is just right there. There isn't a real cutoff time. There will almost always be work to be done. Like that's how work works. It's work to be done, right? Work being there doesn't mean work is going to get done in that moment. It's not work until the work is done, because then none of us would sleep. It's work until the time for work has ended, and then we will pick it back up on the next time when work resumes. And I know someone needed to hear that, because you just think as long as there's work to be done, I'm going to work. That's not how it works. Okay. I need you to prioritize and understand what life looks like away from work. You know, clearly the key to all the things that I've talked about the last few episodes, and really in any episode, is to understand the parts of your life and making them work for your life, because we are more than one thing. There's more than one component to us, and there's no one right way to do this thing called, there's no one right way when we're talking about these tips and how you're going to define your boundaries and what your boundaries will be. Those you get to decide, those nuances. But what I want you to do is figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and what you need, so you can establish physical and time boundaries that will help you. You know, overall, I want you to be able to be present wherever you are. At work, work. As you friend. As you spend time with yourself, do just that. And make that the rule, not the exception. Yes, there may be times when the lines may blend, but if that's not what you want your normal to be, then these 3 things can help you. You know, having a physical boundary. Where is it that you're going to actually work physically? Then defining the time around when you're going to work and communicating that, and also upholding others to that. And then not forgetting to prioritize your time away from work. What are you doing every day for your mental, emotional, and physical health? How are you being clear on results and outcomes versus to doing? All those things that we teach here at Best Today. It's all about you. And I know a lot of us have been taught like, ooh, that sounds selfish, but let's talk about that. I'm not talking about it's all about you in a self-centered way, but I'm saying it's all about you. The choices that you're making are for your health. They're so that you can do the things you want to do and be the person you want to be. You want to be excellent at work, then you want to be excellent at work. You want to be excellent as a friend, as a parent, as a person to yourself. All of that that doesn't just happen by mistake, by accident. You don't fall into that. It takes intentionality, and it takes boundaries, and it takes allowing yourself to be where you are so that then you can move to the next thing without dragging that in with you, without going to work. And we talked about this, I think 2 episodes ago, going to work and feel like, oh, I should be doing the thing over there with my friends, or being with your friends like, oh, I should be doing work. That's a part of that is from not having clear boundaries and not understanding that if you're giving me 100% when you're at work, then when you leave, I want you to give 100% to the next thing that you're doing. Be all in. I'm 100% into this podcast right now because I'm sitting down talking about this. I'm not on the podcast talking to you and also thinking about what's for dinner or what am I going to do for my birthday. I'm thinking about you and the content I'm trying to create to help you, because I want to be that's the only way it's going to be its best and be delivered to you. I don't want to give anyone anything mediocre. And that means I'm not going to stretch myself too thin, but I'm also going to make sure in the few places that I have designated as most important in my life, I'm going to pour fully into that cup in the time frame for pouring into that cup. Then I'm going to move to the next. Okay. So those are your 3 things to help you. You'll notice a lot of commonalities. Honestly, everything I say really is built on the same exact foundations, but I know you guys need to hear it multiple times in different ways. So I hope that helps the person who's working from home and really wants the lines not to be blurry, because it's causing you mental anguish, it's causing you physical anguish, it's causing you to overwork and to feel like I didn't do anything for my house or for work today, because I was trying to do a little bit of both at the same time. So thank you so much. Oh, I also want to say, before I say thank you, let's talk about this over in the membership. That's the best place. That's the only place on the internet where I hang out to really be in community with our community, our customers. So if I can ever be a help to you, I want to talk to you. Let's talk about it over in the membership, which you can join at besttodaycommunity.com. Post your question, post your response to this, post if you're listening and you're like, okay, well, how does that work for me? Because this is my situation. Let's talk about it over in the community. It is built away from social media, and it is our very own place that is safe. besttodaycommunity.com. And you can also find it linked at besttodayguide.com, our main website. Now, thank you for being present with me for this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. Until next time, remember that you are capable and worthy of being your best, one today at a time. And you already have everything you need to have everything you want. So go on and shout it out as you live it out. This is what my best today looks like. I'll talk to you again real soon. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Best Today podcast, you are going to love the Best Today Guide. Our Better Than a Planner guide teaches you how to get clear on what you want, identify your self-destructive habits and behaviors, and intentionally create space to prioritize yourself every single day. Don't go the journey to being your best one today at a time without the Best Today Guide. See inside its pages and order yours today at besttodayguide.com. Even better, when you order the Best Today Guide, we gift you with your first month free inside of the Best Today membership. So what are you waiting for? We're giving you everything you need to trade busy for intention. Go to besttodayguide.com and order yours today and join thousands of women across the globe proclaiming each day, this is what my best today looks like.